Let's answer some frequently asked questions from last time. V, are these your fish? No, this is not my pond. Then why are you feeding them? Because they're hungry. And the final question is like, how much bread do you have? As much as I want. Okay, now if we have any more questions, I'm willing to answer them. Look how hungry they are. They're like piranhas, Jesus. Yeah, as I mentioned, I'm like the only person feeding them, so they're incredibly hungry. What is the topic for today, kids? What do you want me to talk about today? Because I want to do this segment where I come to the lake. It should be called the Lake of Philosophy. And we get to talk about interesting things. Someone asked me on DMs, why did they ban Pepe Le Pew? Well, what did Pepe did? Where did they come from, Pepe? Pepe! It's just a name coincidence, okay? Not related. Not related to the Nazi figure. But banned all the same. I was actually wondering in This Week is Stupid, it's like I'm waiting to see who gets the ban hammer next after Dr. Seuss. Like who are they going to come for? And apparently it's not just Pepe, it's Speedy Gonzales as well. Yeah, Speedy Gonzales is problematic now. It should be like Speedy Gonzales, the destroyer of societies. Yeah, I'm going to go back in my house, shut the bars and close the windows, and I'm going to feel like a person that brings terror as I watch Speedy Gonzales, and it poisons my mind with its racist depictions. But yeah, so the question is like, why do Americans now ban all of these things that are harmless? Okay, because like there is no study, there is no research, there is no paper that people who read Dr. Seuss end up being racist. I mean, all of the Americans grew with Dr. Seuss, right? If that was legitimately the case, no one would watch anime. You know, they would play video games. It's like, where are you from? Japan, Alt F4. That doesn't happen. Which explains why the ban of Dr. Seuss doesn't make sense. Just like the ban of Pepe. And the idea is that the depiction of Chinese people in Dr. Seuss' book is problematic. So I'm thinking like, imagine if 20 years from now, someone looks back at video games and say that, well, this depiction of women is problematic, so we need to ban The Last of Us. I mean, look how they depicted women as hyper-violent, very ugly-looking. It's the ugliness of their soul being reflected in their figures. This is a very offensive way of depicting women. We should ban the video game. How would you feel it? It wouldn't make any sense. And to answer why that is, you have to look at, first, American culture, and B, American economy. So when it comes to American culture, you guys, and I know a lot of you are Americans, but I'm sorry to say this, you guys have always been moral busybodies. You always ban things that you didn't like. Like the solution for something you don't like is ban it. And I can go with Dungeons and Dragons, I can go with Harry Potter, I can go with the Beatles. Yeah, the Beatles used to be problematic. That's also in the UK. You know, maybe it has something to do with that a lot of people on the ships that were colonists were Puritans. Maybe, I don't know, I just do notice. Hey, don't fight over it, Jesus. I just do notice that in the United States there was always this jump, this knee-jerk reaction. Okay, that might be bad, ban it. Ban it all, ban it. Heavy metal, you know, goth. Like a lot of these things were just treated as bad, but it was never this bad, I think. It's social media that made it this bad. And it's also the fact that now it's supported by the establishment. So why does the establishment support these bans? And to answer this is you have to look at Davos and you have to listen to politicians when they speak. And these politicians consider the old to be a society ran by shareholder capitalism. So what is shareholder capitalism? Shareholder capitalism is the idea that every company has a duty to maximize profits in order to benefit the shareholders. And there's a lot of reasons why this creates a prosperous society. You know, it sounds greedy on the surface. It sounds evil on the surface. But in reality, it's good. I'll probably make another video explaining why it's good. But again, it sounds greedy, right? So they don't like it. And the new way of thinking is the idea of stakeholder capitalism. Now, stakeholder capitalism means that a company... Oh my God, they came to arrest me, didn't they? Holy crap, I'm nervous. Yeah, the idea of stakeholder capitalism means that a company isn't a for-profit entity, it's a community. And you know, bear with me. I know it takes a while to make my point, but once my point is made, your mind will be blown. And you're going to be like, whoa, and you're going to understand the universe. So what does it mean that a company is a community? Well, it means that a corporation now has a duty to educate and to protect and provide a safe haven for its employees as well as for its customers. So the idea with inclusion, it always comes with exclusion. Like every time you read it in a newspaper, it's like, oh, we're trying to be more inclusive at this company, so we decided to fire Bob. Or we're deciding to ban Dr. Seuss's books because we want to be more inclusive. And the philosophy behind this, like why it makes sense in their head, is that the overwhelming majority of people don't like seeing sexism. And they just don't want to buy from that company. So by banning Pepe Le Pew, which is a sexist character, it's going to get more people to purchase from that company. I'm not kidding, like that's their ideology. It's the same when they ban someone. So for example, they have a worker that said a joke on social media, which can be sexist or racist. And they say, because our company stands for inclusion, we decided to ban Bob, because that is how more people are going to join. Like there's a lot of people that want to join the company as employees, but they're not doing it because Bob is there. And if you want to read more on this, read the article from The Verge. They're still trying to find me. They're not going to get me. Read the article from The Verge where a scientist managed to land a shuttle on a comet, and because he was wearing a shirt which the people at The Verge consider sexist and ostracizing, they concluded that the reason you don't see more women in STEM is because people like that guy, which are gatekeeping with their shirts. Okay, so this is the ideology. I mean, this is what's accepted. It is what it is. You cannot change it, not by yourself anyway. It's the ideology that's being promoted right now. So that is what they mean by inclusions, right? So all companies have to be inclusive, meaning that they have to ban stuff in order to bring more people in. Like the more you ban, the more you censor, the more you hide things under the rug, the more progressive your product becomes and the more inclusive it becomes. So that's one thing. The other thing is, now that the companies are becoming a community, they need to become political entities, meaning that they're going to donate money to causes and politicians, which is why politicians really love this system, because they can get more funds. But secondly, it's the idea that if you want to champion a cause, right, you can't just champion any cause. Like you have to champion something grandiose, something that really gets the public interested. So you get companies that are going to have a mission, like, for example, the company that sells the Dr. Seuss's books. Yeah, they have a mission, like they're committed to action. Okay, they want to eliminate racism. Or you get companies that want to eliminate sexism. Doesn't matter. It's something grandiose, which cannot be achieved really. It's like me saying I want to eliminate greed from society. Like it's way too grandiose. And the definitions that they use are incredibly vague. So for example, racism now isn't like just the action of being a racist. No. It's the thought. So if someone thinks racist thoughts, then that's a problem. If someone, it even goes beyond thought. It's even at an unconscious level, it can happen, right? So now that the company has a mission to end racismus from society, they can't just do it, right? Like they can't just say it. They need to perform it. Like it's a performative fact. Like they need to show what they're doing in order to end racism from society. And because it's a very difficult task that they went for. I mean, like what can Coca-Cola do? You know, they're not the cops, they're not the police. But what they can do is they can make these, I don't know, like useless acts in order to ban Pepe Le Pew or ban some Dr. Seuss's books that weren't selling that well anyway. And that's the reason they do it. You know, it's like, oh look, sexism solved. We banned Pepe Le Pew. Oh look, racism solved. We banned Speedy Gonzalez, and that's their performative for that year. You know, that's like the type of person that does a good deed so Santa can see. And that's why they're banning these things. Now, there's other reasons why these things get banned. It creates a culture of fear because, you know, they say, okay, well, Speedy Gonzalez normalizes racism. Its depictions are problematic and it normalizes this behavior. Okay. How is banning Speedy Gonzalez not normalizing banning? You know, book burning Dr. Seuss, how is it not normalizing book burnings? Like, you're literally saying that it is okay for a company like eBay to dominate the market and then to regulate what gets sold and what doesn't. How is that not a bigger danger? Like, there is no study which shows that Dr. Seuss turns kids racist, but I think it's self-evident. You see the mainstream media like CNN doing apology. It's like, well, it's not really book burning because they didn't burn all of Dr. Seuss's works. And they're saying, oh no, well, America is now changing. It's like, okay, but you know, change is not always good. I mean, I guess Mao's cultural revolution changed society, but I wouldn't want to be the person living in that time period. Nor do I think like the society changed for the better. But yeah, so it's creating the culture of fear. It's the terror from the French Revolution, as they called it. It's like, you don't know what you can do to upset people because everything is chaotic. Like, all the rules are constantly changes and in flux. So you just need to keep your head down and try not to have any opinions. Like, let your betters decide for you, because they have the wisdom to come up with the correct concepts and the correct opinions. And yeah, I mean, it's really worrying. It's not about just a book getting canceled or some cartoon not appearing. It's a grander thing. It's a grander change. And by the way, the stakeholder thing that they're doing, like stakeholder capitalism, yeah. Look at the definition of economic fascism, and you'll see that it's literally the same. They literally rebranded it. They want to distance themselves from the ideology, but they just want to rebrand it. And this is why you don't see concepts like liberty or freedom or privacy, private life, personal life. You know, what people do in their bedroom is none of your business. Like, you're not going to see these things anymore because they don't care about these things anymore. And when I say they, I mean the corporate press. Like, it doesn't come up in articles anymore. Liberal values like tolerance, acceptance, they just don't pop up. They're not important. What is important right now is call to action, equity, silence is violence, punch a Nazi. You know, that's the new principles. And the solution to all the problems is bigger government and more centralization. That's the solution to everything. If a company steps out of line and does something bad, then other companies that have power over it need to act. It's a call to action. They need to be deplatformed. They need to be censored by companies that have power over them. And that's how the economy works. Like, every company has power over another company. For example, a company that sells things, they want to advertise. Well, social media has power over that. So social media can deplatform the company and it loses money. The cable providers have power over social media. The electric company has power over cable providers, and so on. Like, there's always someone that's at the top and they have more power. And you don't really need to control politics anymore. Like, it doesn't matter who's in charge, because as long as you do the power mapping and you see who has power over another company, you can just pressure that company to deplatform. And most companies do, because they look at the PR and it's like, well, you know, we said that we have a call to action to end racism, and this company is like for example, eBay, right? It's like we got a call to action to end racism, and now Dr. Seuss's book has been deemed racist. So if people want to sell Dr. Seuss's books, we can't allow that to happen. So they decided to ban it. Right? That's how it works. That's the new way of thinking. Got a little bit more bread here for the fish. See, when I said how much bread do I have, how much I want, I exaggerated a little bit. Have more than I want. And by the way, there's a person that said, because I said I don't like fishing, because I don't like the idea of putting a hook in an animal's mouth. They were like, fish don't feel pain. How do you know? I mean, just because they don't get the same human experience that we get, I'm pretty sure they might have a similar thing to pain, where they have a fight or flight response triggered based on it. So no, I just don't. I don't like it. Like, why do I have to like fishing? There's already fish at the supermarket. They already suffered. Now I'll ask you to suffer by liking and sharing this video. And if you want to suffer even more, I can give yourself really good buyer's remorse by clicking on the pinned comment and donating $5 to my Subscribestar. That is real suffering. Anyway, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the comment section.